Indiana game, Kyle McCord will be the starter. And Devin Brown is going to play in the game. I think that Kyle has done a great job over the last 2 weeks of showing consistency. He's played very well in practice. But Devin also, throughout the body of the preseason, has shown that he deserves to play. So expect both of them to play. We have confidence in both of them. I think that's significant that we have two guys that we feel confident playing in a game. This is something that's a little uncharted territory for me, but you just go on what you see every day in practice. And I think that Kyle's consistency the last couple of weeks has allowed him to be the starter. He deserves that. But I also think Devin deserves to play in the game as well. So how much, all that's still to be determined, but we've at least come up with that conclusion here.
Follow-up, someone would have told you, I don't know, maybe in the spring, this is how it was going to turn out. It'd be so close. That you'd be playing both guys. Would you be pretty surprised?
I didn't have a lot of expectations other than I felt like both guys have a chance to be really good quarterbacks, and you just don't know. And when you start to create expectations, then maybe you can start to do things that can put you down a certain path. I decided not to do that. Even really stepped away a lot in the spring and kind of let it all play out. Been more involved this preseason. But pleased that we have at least two guys that we feel confident about going to play in this first game. And ultimately, we have to go win this game. It's a road game. It's a conference game against a very well-coached team. Got a lot of respect for Tom Allen and the way he does things. And so this is going to be a real test for our team early on in the season.
Rivals and the podcast.
Right, you said this is uncharted territory for you a little bit. So what do you rely on then as you try to formulate a plan to play two quarterbacks?
Well, I think the first thing is you just have to go watch them play in the game. And it's one thing, in practice you see certain things, but to get tackled and to move the team down the field and, finish off drives, do well on third down, do well in the red zone, that's going to continue to play itself out during the season. And there's been teams that have done this similar before, and ultimately I told the guys when I met with them today that the goal is to go win championships. And when the season's all said and done, the story is going to be written. What we can't do is ride the roller coaster every drive, every game. They both need each other right now, and I think that's great. They make each other better. I think the competition has made them better, and it's been back and forth, and so. We'll kind of go into each game with a plan, and then evaluate it after that. I think that's all we can do.
The idea of not riding the roller coaster, can that apply to the coaches as well? When you have two that can play, weighing like, oh, this doesn't look that good. Should I put the other guy in now? Like, how do you think that might go?
Well, I told both of those guys this isn't going to be a situation where they need to be worried about getting quote unquote benched, being in the game. That's not the case. They have to go play through. Some of that stuff. CJ kind of went through it his first couple games, and when he was here as a sophomore, and you just don't know how it is going to play out. But all we can do is just do the best we can right now. Go win the first game is the goal, and how that looks. I don't know exactly how it's going to be. And then a week from now, we're in a different place. We have more to go on, a bigger sample size of in game, and we go from there. I just don't have a crystal ball on this, and I'm not sure how it is going to shake out. But I think what we're doing is fair based on what we've seen this preseason.
Right behind him, Tony Gervin, Buckeye Hubble.
Right, quarterback position being different than any other position in terms of the transfer portal and things like that. Last week you said the winner, the tiebreaker, would be the guy that responds when his back is up against the wall. Kyle McCord being pushed by a younger guy. At quarterback, if you get pushed by that younger guy and he goes past you, that's something significant. So to see him respond these last 2 weeks with that kind of pressure, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm pleased with that. I think that is exactly how things shook out a little bit this preseason. I think that Devin made a real strong push about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and then Kyle responded with some really consistent play, and that was a good response, and that was very encouraging. Now it's time to go play in games, though, and we certainly have seen enough in practice to believe that both guys can perform in a game, and now it's time to go put it on the field. And when you're in the game, you really get an idea of what is going on. In practice, you have controlled settings and you try to make them as game-like as possible. But again, now time to go play.
Right next door, Rob Oliver, Columbus Dispatch.
You're part of a big coaching network. Have Have you talked to anybody about how this has worked? Have you been part of it? I don't know if Chip's been part of it or not. You plan to do that, just kind of pick the brain of somebody who's been through it.
I talked over years with different coaches, just because quarterback play is something that obviously I've been a part of my whole life, and you talk to different people about that, and the theory of if you don't have a starting quarterback, you don't have a quarterback. I mean, that wasn't the case for Alabama when they had Tua and Jalen and Mac Jones. Ohio State attracts some of the best players in the country, and it all worked out great for them. That's one example. You think about the year when the national championship was won here most recently, they had 3 guys who played. You try to do the best you can. A good problem to have is when you have multiple guys you feel good about putting in the game. And I think the more we play in these games, the more we're going to see the strengths come through. And we'll just, on a weekly basis, try to do the best we can, put a game plan together that gives our team the best chance to win. And again, I see our receivers getting in rhythm. I see the offensive line getting in rhythm with both guys. If I didn't feel that, then I would step in. I think both guys have won the team, and I think they feel confident with them being in the game on Saturday.
You kind of comment on this. Is it fair though to say that in a perfect world you'd have that one guy that would step forward? Just from a comfort level, maybe even as a coach.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see where we're at this point next week, but and that's the way it's been in the past. But that doesn't necessarily mean that has to be the way moving forward. And these things usually have a way of working themselves out. But, again, I think the best thing to do is to let them go play in a game and come back for air over the weekend.
Fourth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Ryan, when you said that you want to play both, how do you try to navigate that going into game planning and letting Kyle get into a rhythm, but also making sure that you're going to get Devin in there, not interrupting Kyle's rhythm and allowing him to get into the flow of the game?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge, right? What you just mentioned, but we have to go play, and it isn't just about that drive. It isn't about anything else other than winning the game. And they're going to go get the plays. They're going to have the same game plan, and they just got to go put it on the field and go win the game. And I mean, certainly that part of it, I think, is a feel, is what's going on in the game. But both of them are going to have to be locked in on that and go from there.
Right behind him, Cameron T. Robinson, Athletic.
Real quick to clarify that, is for Kyle and Devin, is it, like you said, is it a feel on how they played, or are you talking about like split reps, or how are you?
We'll see how the week goes. Yeah, we'll kind of see how the preparation is, and then kind of decide from there.
What did Kyle do? Like, especially in the last week, that made you think like, okay, he's the guy who's going to start.
Again, the consistency. Yeah, he's been accurate in the passing game. He's done a good job with his reads, taking care of the football, and that's important with the surrounding cast that we have on offense, is to make the routine plays routinely and take care of the football, and ultimately lead the team down the field to score touchdowns, and he's done that. So that's why he's starting.
Far right, Tom Sperry, WBNS 10 TV.
Coach, no matter who it is, it'll be a rookie quarterback in there. What do you expect out of Indiana? And that's been a tough place to play over there. What do you think they try to do to disrupt the quarterback?
Well, the first thing is they have a very different team than they did last year. They've added a lot of new pieces, a lot of talent coming in, different little change up on the staff. And, we've been in dogfights with them early in the season before, and they're very well coached. So, we have to do a great job of adjusting to, some of the changes that they've made on both sides of the ball. But ultimately, it's going to come down to fundamentals, taking care of the football, tackling really well, hand placement, all the things that come into play in a first game, and handling the environment, going on the road for the first game, a conference game.
What's the guys, I mean, obviously they've gotten all the attention. How've they handled all that, though? Because you played it, you understand that at Ohio State, that's the position everyone talks about, and, every eye is going to be on whoever's in there.
Yeah, and every play is going to be, criticized or, applauded, and but when you come here, that's part of the deal. And, I shared with them both that, the great thing is they both get an opportunity to be the quarterback at Ohio State with an unbelievable team surrounding them. So that's the exciting part of it, and that's what they want. That's, when they decided to come to Ohio State, they knew that it wasn't going to be easy, and they're fighting tooth and nail to get on the field, and so that's the exciting part of it. But yeah, I mean, that's what comes with being an Ohio State quarterback, and they know that, and that's why they're here.
Right behind him, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Ron, do you feel, in terms of the big plays you allowed defensively in those last 2 games, do you feel like that's been fixed? Do you feel confident in Noel's approach